Good afternoon. My name is Mark Nedgeman. I'm from Newsweed.com. Today is July 14th, and I'm going to give you a summary of the news. It's expected that a bipartisan infrastructure plan could come as soon as this week, I hope. President Trump, in that category, are Democrats conceding 6 million stolen 2020 votes. I don't know when that story will end, but I hope it ends soon. Arizona State Senator Rogers, audit numbers don't match 2020 election results. Again, on the election. China is telling Biden, do not interfere in Hong Kong. This is very serious news. We have some world problems. Maybe this is weighing on the markets as well. President Biden says 150 Americans voted in 2020 elections. President Trump asks, are Democrats conceding 6 million 2020 votes? Again. Democrat lawmakers called for violence against President Trump for years, President Trump claims, and I think we all saw that in the news with some senators. The Biden administration is playing down the protests in Cuba, not mentioning socialism at all, but instead saying that it's a communist regime and they're very extreme. A Florida senator who actually saw the Cuba freedom protests said he's never seen anything like it. In the meantime, in America, we have violent crime spiking everywhere. As a matter of fact, there was a man, 64 years old, close to my age, that was sprayed with a chemical that was burning his body by 4 individual youngsters that did not look like they were from the rough side of town. Well, he got away by spraying one of them with gasoline. It's just not right that if you go for gas, you have to be harassed and somebody tries to jack your car. The Federal Reserve and the stock market are confused. Due to the political actions of many in office, the past year, the stock market has been confused, and so has the bond markets. The markets do not like uncertainty, but any crash will be the fault of too much trust in governments. Ain't that the truth? The new Delta virus suggests new vaccines and boosters. There's uncertainty of the long-term effects of the vaccine, which is a mysterious mix of melanoma and lymphoma that produces protein. The fears are that there may be a spike in exactly those diseases or worse. Testing is likely to be done for those interested to seeing if they need the vaccine. Once again, I bring up AIDS, a disease that selectively killed gay men, but few others. This needs to be looked at again as we all lost dear friends to the AIDS virus. It seems like there might be some good that comes out of COVID. We can take a much closer look at the genes or genomes and figure out exactly what happened with AIDS as well. Unfortunately, a former Seahawks and 49ers player, cornerback Richard Sherman, was arrested on burglary and domestic violence. He also supported treatment for mental health, and he invested in a company that supported mental health. Free agent cornerback Richard Sherman was arrested early Wednesday morning in King County, Washington, on the charge of burglary domestic violence. According to public records, the case is being investigated as a felony. The secret of successful policy with mental health and domestic violence is to be very firm. Okay, so in the markets, a new trend is being used heavily. Since we had such a run-up on the market last year, people are using shorting. The secret of successful investing lies in the proper identification of overpriced stocks and reasonably priced stocks. In a complex marketplace, overblown stocks and the correctly priced ones are intertwined in such a way that it's not easy to distinguish between them. However, spotting the bloated toxic stocks on a regular basis and abandoning them at the right time is one of the secrets to a winning investment strategy. This is something that concerns me. Usually toxic companies are characterized by a huge debt burden and are vulnerable to external shocks. irrationally high price of the toxic stocks is short-lived as the current price is higher than their intrinsic value, and these are bound to result in a loss for investors over time. We all better pay attention to that because shorting is the trend in the market. Overpricing of the toxic stocks can be ascribed to either an irrational exuberance surrounding them or some serious fundamental drawbacks. If you own such bubble stocks for an inordinate amount of time, you are bound to see massive erosion of wealth. However, if you're a smart investor and you can precisely spot such toxic stocks, you may gain by resorting to an investing strategy called short selling. This strategy allows you to sell a stock first and then buy it when the price falls. And that is happening. Many of us have seen our stocks drop in price. You know that they're good companies, but is the value of the stock currently the right price? The shorters are going to sell you and propagandize that the value is not. So perhaps we all better take a close look. Lebanon is days away from a social explosion. The Prime Minister Diab warns. Very bad things happening in Lebanon. The agriculture sector is suffering in Lebanon as well. Food is in high shortage, yet high demand. And the thing that triggered it all, the explosion in Beirut. Lebanon is lifting immunity in port blast probe. Caretaker Interior Minister Mohammed Fahmy rejects request to question head of General Security Agency, Abbas Ibrahim. Something's not right there, and I think that we need to draw a connection to the explosion that happened at the UAE this past week. Those details have to be looked at, and this explosion, which looked like an accident, could actually be a new form of economic warfare, which it doesn't look like an attack has been made, but perhaps knowing that it's going to destroy an economy might be an act of war as well. Meanwhile, Turkey and Israel are trying to improve their relationship. Haiti is still in turmoil as they look for more suspects. How many more suspects can there be when you have 24 Colombians and 5 Haitians, 4 of which are from the United States? I think this is a matter for James Bond to find out. But one thing we can be sure is that some government had their hand in this play, or some drug dealers had their hand in this play, and that's what really is going on. In the meantime, Fed chief today was testifying, and he knows nothing! An Iranian-American journalist and human rights activist based in New York has said she will not be bowed by an alleged plot by an Iranian intelligence operatives to kidnap her and bring her back to Iran. Federal investigators detailed a plan to abduct Mahsa Ahmadinejad, a journalist who has contributed to the United States government fund Voice of American Persian Language Service and reports on human rights issues in Iran. In an indictment unsealed late Tuesday against 4 Iranian nationals who U.S. authorities describe as intelligence operatives for Tehran. The agents targeted Ahmadinejad for mobilizing public opinion in Iran and around the world to bring about changes to the regime's laws and practices, the indictment said. Early Wednesday, Ahmadinejad said she believed she was targeted for her online activism, which includes sharing the stories of families of protesters killed by Iranian security forces during protests in November of last year, and women forced to wear head coverings. I give voices to the voiceless people. This is my job, Ahmadinejad told CNN. I'm asking people to be their own storytellers. I have 5 million followers on Instagram and 1 million on Facebook. That's pretty amazing because Facebook usually takes down anyone that they don't agree with. So apparently Facebook agrees with Ahmadinejad, which makes me not agree. Facebook cannot be trusted. CNN cannot be trusted. So, flag. When asked if she would be deterred by the targeting, which U.S. investigators said stretched back to 2018 ploy to lure her to Iran and included hiring a private investigator under false pretenses to surveil Ahmadinejad, her family, home, and friends in Brooklyn, Ahmadinejad responded, "I will not. To be honest, I have fear inside of me, but what gives me power are those people," she said, calling Iranians who share their stories on her platforms heroes. I'm sorry, but I can't buy that story. Only because Facebook, CNN are involved, and Instagram, which is Facebook. Something tells me that they're trying to mix up this story in a very bad way. Remember, it's never as it seems. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. This is Mark from Newsweed.com. Thank you.